Let's talk about a couple in Tennessee. This is Elizabeth and Gabriel Rutan-Ram. Now, they discovered at one point that they would be unable to have biological children of their own. So they decided that they wanted to foster and hopefully eventually adopt a particular disabled boy. And along the way, in trying to get that done, experienced a sort of discrimination that one would hope, if not think, we had rooted out of America, but we haven't. So they wanted to do this to receive the required services and training that they would needed to be able to foster and adopt this boy. The Rutan-Rams then went to Holston United Methodist Home for Children, but they were allegedly denied help. Holston was the only agency in their area of Knox County, Tennessee, willing to provide training and services for the adoption process of an out-of-state child. Now, Holston initially told them that it would provide them with the services they needed. But the day that the Rutan-Rams were scheduled to start Holston's training class, Holston told the couple it wouldn't serve them because they're Jewish. Holston said it only provides adoption services to prospective adoptive families that share our Christian belief system. Because there was no other agency in the Knox County area that would provide the foster parent training and certification for the adoption of an out-of-state child, the Rutan-Rams were unable to adopt the boy from Florida. And because of that, they're doing a lawsuit. Now, it's not targeting that church. They're accusing the Department of Children's Services of violating the state's constitutional rights to religious freedom and equal protection, since it contracts with and funds Holston. It's infuriating to learn our tax dollars are funding discrimination against us, the father said. If an agency is getting tax money to provide a service, then everyone should be served. It shouldn't matter whether you're Jewish, Catholic, or an atheist. And finally, Elizabeth in this case says, I felt like it had been punched in the gut. It was the first time I felt discriminated against because I am Jewish. It was very hurtful that the agency seemed to think that a child would be better off in state custody than with a loving family like us. And so, look, we know that adoption services, like a lot of other areas, have been allowed to be the source and site of discrimination based on religious grounds. But when the government specifically works with an organization like this, knows that it's the only one in the area that can provide these services and allows them to continue to discriminate on religious bases, then that should just, common sense is that that would not be acceptable, but it's the law of the land even up to today.
Okay, two elements to the story. First of all, we've been telling you about the rise of anti-Semitism. So now this applies to every non-Christian, but why is it anti-Semitic in particular? It's not just because it's a Jewish couple. They would have done it to a Muslim couple, an atheist couple as well, right? But in the past, they would have been reluctant to do it to a Jewish couple because they had done the whole spiel about the Judeo-Christian heritage and tradition and culture, and they were trying to keep Jews within the tribe, if you will, of the right wing, right? Now they're at a point where they're like, no, okay, we can take the mask off. Of course we hate the Jews. No, you're not allowed to have kids, adopt kids through our service. They'd be better off in an orphanage than with a bunch of Jews. That is very literally what their actions are saying. So, and the mother is right about that. Now, the second component of it is, so they're the Taliban and they say, okay, everybody has to follow our religion. Now, look, this is very important. In America, we believe in freedom of religion. They can believe anything they want, and they could, by the way, use their own money for anything they want. If they say, hey, listen, we want to set up a service and you guys can participate, but only if you dance naked around our temple. And a lot of people want to dance naked around their temple and do whatever the hell they're gonna do, have at it, Hoss. But if they say, now we're gonna use government money, we're gonna use your money, your taxpayer money, and we're gonna make you dance like fools, like naked around the temple, because that's what we believe. No. Why do I have to do that? Well, I don't believe you're voodoo. No, you have to believe it, otherwise you can't get kids. Well, that sounds like what Taliban would do, Al-Qaeda would do, ISIS would do. No, our answer is no, we're America. You don't get to discriminate based on religion. So yes, we're gonna stand up for Jewish couples. Yes, we're gonna stand up for everybody. And no way they should use government money for that. Do discrimination with your own money, okay? I don't like it, but it's a free country. But you're not gonna do discrimination with my money.
I was gonna say, this seems like a pretty textbook discrimination case, and I am hoping that because of that, this couple will, win in court the way they deserve to. And if they don't, I promise I will go to fight for them any way that I can, because this is an egregious act of discrimination. But I also want to note that the child that they were trying to adopt is disabled. I'm disabled, I work in disability law. And while I was an undergrad, I worked full time in a school for disabled children who were wards of the state. So these children were all up for adoption. It is almost impossible for disabled children to get adopted. It is very difficult. We live in a very ableist society and it sucks, but that's the world we live in. And those children who are wards of the state or are in these, sort of, adoption centers are not getting the resources they need. They are not getting the accommodations that they are legally owed. And it's horrific. Having a family that wants them and loves them will give these children, so much more access to resources that is necessary for them and give them a leg up in a world that is fighting against them. So to see an adoption agency deny a couple, a loving family who wants to give a home to a disabled child who is already facing an uphill battle, to deny them based on just their religion is abhorrent. And it makes me feel physically ill, having seen the struggles that these children who are wards of the state have to go through because of their disabilities. Knowing the difference that having a household of parents who adore them and want them to succeed would make in their lives. It's disgusting, and it's just a demonstration of how these people are putting their religious views over their care for the children that they have been entrusted to care for, and it's despicable.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.